2017 run-and-gun platformer made by two brothers, Chad and Jared Moldenhauer. It was a hit on release and would go on to sell over 6 million copies as of current year. The most striking thing that you've probably noticed is its immaculate art style. The brothers loved the look of the almost hypnotic rubber hose animations from the 1920s and 30s. They were baffled that the style wasn't in video game form, so decided to do it themselves. Everything from the backgrounds to the story to the idle animations to the sound design are dripping with the aesthetic. It even has cinema crackle. The game has a very simple story. The two main characters, Cuphead and Mugman, go out gambling in the Devil's Casino and lose at the craps table and are then tasked by the devil to collect the debt from the patrons of the casino who didn't pay up. Charming as it is, the story is not the reason you're here. You're here for the incredible animation and phenomenal music. Everything in this game was handmade and hand-drawn. Every single frame of animation was hand-drawn, inked, colored, and animated to really drive in the old-timey feel. It was animated in traditional 24 frames per second, but the game runs a consistent 60. The backgrounds are a mix of gorgeous watercolor and oil paintings. As well as looking amazing, the soundtrack is possibly the best thing to come out of this game. The phenomenal, modern, smooth, and free-flow jazz soundtrack really gives the game life and energy, and really makes the aesthetic, as 1930s cartoons were often scored with jazz compositions. All the music was performed live in professional studios with experienced musicians. 100% of the music in this video are from the game, but enough gushing about how beautiful this game is. Now it's time for actual gameplay. This game is hard. Like, really hard. You'll die a lot. Cuphead is a love letter to 1930s cartoons, but it is also a love letter to old-time arcade games. These games were notoriously difficult, but that's also what makes them rewarding. The terrifyingly strenuous levels really make it count when you beat them, and the incredibly creative boss and level designs really make them a treat to retry, helping the one more go mentality. The difficulty makes it not for everyone, as people will complain, but if your willpower is up to scratch, you'll be fine. The game is split into two types of levels, run and gun and boss levels. The run and gun levels are easily the worst part of the game, because there are two ways to play, shooter and pacifist. The shooter types are way too easy and just a bore to play, but the pacifist type is excruciating, no in between. But there are only 4 levels, so it doesn't take away from the game at all. Now, boss levels. The bosses will have multiple stages with multiple characters, or they'll have a single character transforming into horrible beasts and twisted creatures, another staple of 1930s cartoons. There are 19 bosses in the games, and they consist of 2 types, ground and plane, or as I like to call them, fun and fair and bullet hell. The plane levels are much more difficult because you can move around the entire screen, go small with faster speed but smaller bullets, and bomb for shooters. In the ground level, you have 2 types of shooters, a super ability and a charm ability. You also have a parry ability where if you double tap your jump button, you will slap anything pink. This will build your super meter, and when you have 5 cards, you can use one of 3 super abilities. You can buy these abilities with coins that you find around the island, and use the coins at Porkrind's Emporium. Speaking of Porkrind, these islands are filled to the brim with NPCs and stuff to do, like mausoleums and side quests. The world building, while simple, is charming and vast and really engrosses you in this world. The game overall is pretty family friendly, with a cutie art style and PG age rating. However, the game includes multiple instances of tobacco and alcohol use. This game also shows some scenes that younger gamers might find scary, but if they're older children and understand what they're seeing, they'll be fine. Overall, Cuphead is a fantastic game that everyone should play. The art style and animations are immaculate, and the soundtrack is one of the best I've ever heard in a video game. The game overall is one of the best ever. I give Cuphead a 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay poggers.